Long time no see. Great to have you back.
Good to see you.
We have
Yeah,
Travis
thanks for
Brungardt
having
on
me.
the show.
Yep, Travis Brungardt. We're excited to have him back. I can't remember how many months ago it was when you came on, but I was thinking about this, just like reflecting on whenever we got introduced to your brand and company Catalyst Construction, and I think I found you on social media or something, and with Build Show, and I was impressed with just I think what you're doing for just the built community. And also just building trades. I know that's one of the things we've connected on a little bit of just being able to like go actually to a class and talk to students and stuff like that. And so just building up the trades and future generations, I think is something that's really inspiring to us. And so thanks for being on the show.
It's my pleasure, and thanks for the nice compliment. I definitely am passionate about that, and obviously we do share that. I I can't remember if we last recorded together after you were both in KC with us,
I think it was
because we
before.
did have it was before.
Before.
Okay,
Yep.
so yeah, it was after school got started though. Just to toot your horn a little bit, the Congenius team came to one of the high schools that Joe and I work with our nonprofit to try and support skilled trades here in Kansas City, the Turner High School Building Trades program with Scott Hughes. And you guys were very generous and spoke to the students there and kind of showed how your technology tools allow hopefully what will be future successful business people to be more successful and to be organized and present themselves well. All those things are. I'm still working on those things, so I'm happy that you guys are willing to give those kids a better head start than maybe some of us who struggle more on the business side. So yeah, it's great to see you again. Thanks for having me back on.
Awesome.
You guys did the heavy lifting, and it was fun to be there, and a totally different environment. We're usually talking to contractors that are, have been in business for a little while, and then seeing kids that are kind of just thinking about it. What's in it for me? Obviously, when you talk dollars and cents kind of questions, I think you kind of capture the audience a little bit more, Travis. Yeah. Now, if you want to make it in business, there's a few things you need to know.
Yeah.
There are some key details there, and the kids do perk up when you start talking about that's one of the biggest lead-ins to get the next generation excited about doing trade work is that the compensation is far better than what they expect, and starting off a lot of times getting paid during their training period and entering the trades debt-free. Those are really strong arguments. So when you start bringing up the money side of it, and you're like, yeah, and this is where you want to put in your profit margin, and they're like, wait, you get what? You get so excited. You're like, yes, that's the whole point of being in business is you get paid. I mean, some of us love it. We do it as a hobby, as a nonprofit. We all work on our own homes. I know you guys are always busy with projects, but there's definitely a good connection point there for the next generation of tradespeople. So thanks again for supporting that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Last week, Travis, I have a bunch of fresh grass on my property. And so we had noticed some of the grass just really, and I've been watering it and taking care of it. It's been this drought going on. And I noticed some of the grass just sort of not doing well. And I was thinking, man, I'm just not watering it well enough. What's going on? Discovered there's these little army worms all over, little caterpillars just chowing the living daylights out of my grass. Well, I got somebody to come out and spray it, and I had this little object lesson with the boys afterwards. And I was like, okay, this guy charged $1,000 to come out and spray my lawn. Took him half a day to do it. Now it's 3 acres. It's 3 acres of grass, or probably 4 by the time he got, because he probably sprayed the whole thing. So 4 acres of grass he went out for $1,000. And I was like, let's break this down of how much is this guy actually making as a part of doing that. It was a fun little lesson with the math. I was like, okay, he was here for how long? How many dollars an hour is that? He's here for 4 hours. Okay, that's, Michael's right away. $250 an hour. He's got all the word problems figured out really quick.
Sure.
And then, but then we got into I started asking the question of well, what other things does he need to pay for as a part of doing a business? And they're like, well, he needs to pay for his truck. And I just asked the questions, let them figure it out. And well, he needs to pay for his insecticide, that he's got to spray something on the lawn. And then he's got, one of the things that they missed was insurance and taxes.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of us fresh in business don't think. Yeah.
I'm joking.
Hard earned. Yeah. Lose your money to Uncle Sam, and I think that's one of the pieces of it that was missed. And then we kind of broke down, well, how much money does he actually take home as the guy spraying down the lawn? And it's a lot less than $1,000.
It is. Yeah, those are hard lessons to learn. It's really hard to not jump on there with the classic Office Space line. You're like, oh, they were missing insurance and they were missing taxes. Well, I wouldn't say they were missing it then. They were they're glad to not be involved with those two things. Let those kids be kids a little bit longer. Pre-insurance, pre-tax.
Good.
They're living the
Yeah,
best life.
exactly.
That's right.
They're living in a very simple economy.
That's good.
That's right.
No accountants and tax preparers yet. Yeah, just here's your $10. Thanks for cleaning my car. Travis
simple.
and I were talking before the show just about having kids that are in the age of like where Travis is a little bit ahead of us. He's got 7th grader where you're starting to lose more of the the cool factor as a dad.
Oh, man. It's hard.
Long gone.
Yeah,
Haven't been cool for years, I'm afraid.
You'll be cool again someday.
that's true.
will.
That's true. Yeah, I know my dad's way cooler than he was when I was a kid. I mean, what?
You
Yeah,
appreciate him a lot better.
yeah.
After college.
Yeah. Then you start thinking about, oh, well, that's what he was actually trying to do.
Yeah.
Life lessons start to click a little bit better. We want to talk about a few things that I think would resonate with our audience. I think some of the just random thoughts that came to our mind. We can just go anywhere with this, Travis. It's just having a conversation. So we're gonna give you lots of airtime here. But just some of the challenges. I mean, we've talked about a lot of like the building science part of like running a business. And I know that's your shtick. You're really good at the science part of building. I want to kind of take this a little bit different and kind of go off your really normal things you talk about and talk about like the business aspect of running a business. Obviously, you and Joe, close partners working together in a business. There's a relationship aspect in business that's like you guys have like a really good relationship. We've seen that up close, but obviously some moments it's not always that way. Like how do you manage a relationship with somebody you work with, and how do you keep that strong over time? And I mean, like a lot of people are in similar spots. They work with their dad, they work with their brother, they work with a friend, and there's a lot of conflict that goes down sometimes in business.
Yeah, that's a really good question, and one that I do face a lot because a lot of people are owner operators, individual owners. Sole ownership is really common in our industry, and I've had a lot of friends who are like, "Why do you have a partner? This is so weird. Like, how do you even make that work? It's a dumb idea. It's much easier to just be in charge of everything, and you tell people what to do, and there's no question, and there's no argument. You can move efficiently, and everything gets done." And there is truth in that. There are a lot of very successful operations that have a sole owner. But I have enjoyed having a partner. I think I like the communicative side. I like the partnership. It is more fun to do things together. I always use the example of, it sucks to dig a hole. Nobody wants to dig a hole. Digging a hole is hard work. You get the shovel out, start breaking your back, and a few hours into it, you're pretty unhappy that you're digging that hole. But if you bring a 6-pack of beer and 3 buddies and you dig that hole, that might be the most fun you have that month. Because it's more fun to work hard with other people. It's also not as hard to work at difficult tasks when you have help. So there are a lot of benefits to that. I go on vacation and I don't have to worry as much that things are still being managed because there's somebody with my skill or even someone who exceeds my skill in areas that is managing those aspects that handles parts of the business that I don't want to do. I don't like the clerical side. I'm not good with numbers. I have a terrible memory. There's a lot of aspects of this business that I am not well suited for that Joe is really strong at. So I think that's why our partnership works really well. And I'm going to challenge you guys to have Joe back on the Congenius podcast to have his side of this, because that would be really interesting. I might find out a lot because Joe's very soft spoken. And so you don't always know where you stand with Joe. So you guys asking him directly,
we'll find out for you.
Podcast, and I might find out.
And you'll know how he feels about you.
We'll just title that one, How Joe and
a week
Travis
with
are
him, so.
actually doing. Yeah.
That's right. No, I think we do okay. I think that it really does come down to the strength of the partnership being how very different we are. We are not very similar people. We have different hobbies. We have very different views on the way things should be happening all the time. I'm wound super tight. Like I used to describe Catalyst as a business where, I was kind of the engine, but I'm all gas. And so we really need Joe to be the transmission and the steering wheel and brakes, because otherwise I'm just going to careen off a cliff. Like I have all this energy and enthusiasm and I just want to go, but we've got to have some bumpers. And I've told this story before, but probably not here. I was really excited about building my parents a house. Like that was a really big moment for me. I think as tradespeople, we all kind of take pride in being able to take care of those who helped get us where we are. And I had the opportunity to build my parents a house, not to buy them a house. We charged them. I wish I could afford to buy them a house. But they found a property that I thought it was perfect. Like, this is an undeveloped section of old farmland. It was part of, this farmhouse and these 3 lots, and it's not far from where they are now. They would love to stay in the neighborhood. I mean, it's perfect. Like, I gotta make an offer. I gotta move on this right away. And my parents and I are like, we're gung ho on this. And this is 15, 20 years ago. We built their house a long time ago. So this is old news. But the gist of the story is, I'm ready to like get the bank and sign the papers. Like, let's go. We can do this. I haven't designed a house yet. I just figured out we're going to buy this piece of land. We're going to get this done. And Joe is like digging his heels in and slowing things down. And I am getting so aggravated. So I'm like, do you understand how heartbreaking this is going to be if we lose this bit of land? I've already been to the city. I've already done this. And I'm rattling off all the steps. He's like, I don't know, man. Just there's something. We should look into this and this and this. Well, come to find out, it was one of the last pieces of property in the entire Kansas City metro area that I'm aware of that was not tied in to sanitary sewer, even though it's totally population dense. Like, I grew up 3 blocks from where this is, and everything has sanitary sewer and storm sewer and all the modern modern conveniences of being in a neighborhood, but it didn't have a fire hydrant to service it. So we would have had to add that development cost. We would have had to add the sanitary sewer connection, which would have meant going through, I believe, 9 different backyards. So we'd be buying easement. I mean, it was an $85,000 ad that I was like, no, let's buy the house. Let's buy the property.
It'll be fine.
And Joe is just digging his heels. I'm like, we've got to find this stuff out. So as much as I have all this enthusiasm, I'm really excited and I want to work a million miles a minute. He is very methodical about things, and that balance has really helped Catalyst to be very successful, because there are only so many hours in the day. There are only so many things we can commit to, and slowing down and making sure that everything is going to work the way you think it's going to has a real benefit. I like to think that my side of things is very beneficial as well, and so it works great as a partnership.
Yes.
For him to want to manage the books and to deal with a lot of the things that I'm not as well suited to sit still long enough to be methodical and find out what it cost to put in the fire hydrant and the sanitary sewer easements. That was not a good time for me. And we did build him a house somewhere else, and it was great. It all ended up happily. But in that moment, I was furious. And then moments later, so grateful for that partnership. So for other people who are considering a business partnership, I will add one other caveat. When we formed our business, we actually had 3 partners. It was myself, Joe Cook, and Jason Barr. And Jason is still a great friend of mine. We work out together a few days a week. He's a structural engineer by trade. And when we formed this business together, we went to the attorney's office to, make the legal documents to create it. And they did not sugarcoat much. Guy sat down, he goes, we're in this room today because you guys are one day going to be back here one at a time to tell me how to screw your buddy. And these things all end badly. If you ever had a desire to remain friends, I'm going to ask you now, one last time, please don't start this business. You're going to hate each other. There's going to be problems. Wow. And so now, if you're committed to still staying in this room together, we have to design a way to get out of this where you basically, here's your make my day clause. If you want to buy this guy out, then he has to be able to buy you out at the exact same rate you propose. And it's just a matter of making things legally binding so that you don't have much to discuss and argue about, because pretty soon you're going to hate each other. And we haven't. We bought Jason out when he wanted to go back to engineering. And I think I've asked Joe a number of times to please buy me out so that I can give up. And he's done the same. But things just keep working well. So partnerships can be great, but you do have to treat it kind of like a marriage. You have to put the other person first sometimes. You have to be thinking, how do my actions affect the other person? What would this person do if they were here with me? Because if you can make those compromises in your marriage or in your relationship, if you're not married, whatever person you want to spend your life with, I'm spending almost as much time and maybe more some weeks with Joe than I am with, you can say that, Ben and Kinsey are in the office slaving away at Congenius many more hours than you get to be home with your family sometimes when things are intense. You guys get it. It's a serious thing, and you just have to be willing to take a step back and put the other person first sometimes. When you do, you get some pretty good results. It's rewarding in that way.
Yeah, I love that. I love what you said too about just how different you guys are. I think that that is a lot of times what makes a partnership work, but not a lot of times do people actually want that, right? Like most people don't want to work with someone who disagrees with them or like has a difference of opinion, you know,
Hmm.
or you want to like find a partner who was just fun to be around with because you think it's going to be fun. How did you identify that Joe might be, you know, like that you guys might work well in that regard? Did you work together on some other projects? Or because I think that's unique. You know, a lot of people are like, oh, I'll work with my family or I'll work with, you know, versus identifying a partner for the business versus like a partner for yourself, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I don't think we had a grand plan going way back, but I mean, Joe and I did go to high school together. He was the altar boy at my church growing up. Before I even knew him, I knew his dad worked. He was the I used to caddy, and his dad ran the golf course, and so it was one of those things like
Yep.
we had been around each other a
Relationship.
lot, and I knew who he was. But through high school, like Joe was the cool guy. Like he's in a rock band. The girls wanted to go see Joe play. I was at work. Like I was in the theater program and I was building sets and I was doing photography and ceramics and I was living a very happy life. High school was great for me, but not like it was for Joe. It's a different deal. So he and I didn't really run in the same circles. And then after graduating high school, we both kind of find our way back to, you know, common ground. Like he used to do downhill mountain bike racing, and I was uh, I was good entertainment. I would go on the races, the practice runs, and wreck my bike in a dramatic fashion, and everyone would be entertained. But I didn't ever race with those guys. We're very different in that way. And when we were both moving through the world, you know, into our different jobs, I took a remodeling job, and Joe was already at a different remodeling crew. Or actually, I think at that time he still had his paint business. He was a business owner early on. He had his own paint company for a while. And so that made it a really nice asset when uh, we both ended up at the same new home construction firm. Um, I was a couple years ahead of him hired there. And so I was always talking to him at the weekly domino game, like, oh, Joe, you should come work here. Like, this is great. This project management stuff's great. Learn all this stuff. You're running the subdivision. It's all great. And I think because he was wanting to buy a house, the bank would like to have seen income from another source rather than his own business. It was easier to buy the house under a certain condition if he had an employer that wasn't him. And so he did eventually cave and do that. And that's really when we started like seeing all of our common ground, because up to that point we hung out socially. And like Joe's house was the party house. So I got to go to cool parties at Joe's, but we didn't hang out a lot outside of like those social experiences, and we didn't work together on stuff. When we started working together, it was readily apparent that his skill set is just so different from mine, that I valued the opportunity to learn from him. Like he taught me how to finish cabinets and do fine woodworking applications of, you know, sprayed finishes and staining, and I learned some really hard lessons from Joe. It was really great to have that, because all my experience was on all these other aspects, which I like to think maybe he learned a thing or two from me as well. But the idea of a complementary partnership is ideal. If Joe was a master electrician, he and I would spend all day arguing about how to wire the house, and we'd both be mad and nothing would get done. But he is focused on this and I'm focused on that, and so I trust him to be better at the thing that he's doing than what I would do, or at least on things that we would both do. I would say I trust him enough to know that he's going to make sure that our clients are satisfied and that I don't have anything to worry about. And I assume he trusts me that same way.
I love that appreciation that you have for each other as well. That's a key to any relationship, and being able to see what value that person brings, even in the situation where you're talking about a story where you're thinking that's a negative, where, hey, you're holding me back, Joe. Like, I want to go buy this property, and all you can think about is things that are going to be a problem. And then you're later realizing, oh, like, that's actually exactly what I needed in that moment. And so sometimes the things that we need aren't the things that are most comfortable. I love the ability to just look at a relationship with appreciation for what the other person brings, and also celebrating those differences, you know, the being able to realize, okay, you're not the same, and that's a good thing. And welcome the challenge, having the humility to be able to say, yeah, you know, you were right, or sort something out. Super cool. I think as you also appreciate the differences of skill set, like Joe, you know, being more towards the back office stuff, right? He's doing the, the estimate, the numbers, the things that you don't want to do. I think also giving the other person space to like own certain aspects of it. I think that's probably another key thing you're bringing out as well, of Joe's handling that, I'm handling this. We're going to give each other space to do things the way that the other person feels they should be done, and stand behind each other in that. And I think that's a big deal. You're seeing a situation where sometimes people that are very similar, they might struggle more because of, I know my dad and one of my brothers, they are very similar, and they just really struggled working together. Just because it was particularly for my dad, like my mom's like, you guys are just two peas in a pod, and dad's so
Your family and too similar. So that's the two problems.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. I mean, I think friends can be exactly like family though, because to your point, as you're working with Joe, I think you end up becoming like family in so many ways. Just there you have that loyalty to each other. Now, where do you take it too far? I mean, like, because you have a loyalty to your family that's different than a loyalty to a business partner, can people take that too far, where it's just, we ride and die together and nothing can never separate you, and then you realize, okay, that was too far. I feel like we've kind of explored lines in our business with people we've hired and brought onto the team where you're like, okay, we just need to make sure we take care of this person no matter what happens. And you realize, actually, that's not our problem. Like, we want to be great. We want to have a great workplace, but at the same time, there are business needs that are bigger than people. And we want to take care of people and do the ethical thing, but at the same time, some things are hard.
Yeah. I mean, we've had more than a few dust ups over the years. It's certainly, I mean, like a marriage, it's not easy. You fight. There are things that we disagree on. We have very strong views, both of us, about certain things. And I think that the key is you have to start with respect. You have to have mutual respect. And if you both treat each other with respect, and if there's a person that you're considering a partnership with that you think, well, they're not as good as I am, but they'll help me get where I want to go, that's not a good partnership. You're in trouble already, because you won't treat them with the level of respect that they're going to presumably demand, and they're going to at some point feel taken advantage of, and that's wrong. So I think it works well with Joe and I, because he respects what I do, and I certainly respect what he does. And when we have had disagreements, the reason that it works out is we're willing to fight through it. You have to give the person enough space if they need space. You have to be willing to get in their face and tell them why you're angry and what's wrong. And then you got to stand there and take it, because there's always two sides, right?
Yeah.
Like, I've been very certain about how correct I was about something, and spent a fair amount of time explaining, this is why this is not right, and I'm very upset about this. And he's done the same. And both of us have listened to the other person. And I mean, there's been some hard times, but it's worked out because we're both willing to come to it from that point of respect and trust. Like I said, if I was going to try and do exactly what was needed for our business all day, every day on my own, it would look very different. But I don't necessarily think it would be better, because we have fit issues, right? Like, you have a client, it's right tool for the job. If you have a client that is very communicative, wants to talk about the nerd stuff, boy, I'm a great fit for that. I'll tell you everything you want to know. We can stand in the driveway and have a beer until 7 o'clock talking about all the things that we could do on the house. It's not very practical. We're probably still going to have to come home to the real budget and what we're actually going to do. But that's a good fit for me. And there are clients that really like that, and will lean into that. And I dork out about architecture and design, and I want to spend time doing all that. But like, Joe's an avid hunter. I don't hunt. My dad did. I could tell stories about how I was 12 and my dad took me hunting, but I have nothing to offer. I'm not the outdoorsman that he is. So there are aspects where a client's going to connect more with Joe's, his, I guess you'd say, presentation of things is different than mine. Like, I want to be very organized with a spreadsheet. Joe, we're just different. So if you find that right fit and a client likes one aspect over the other, then that should be the person who takes lead on that project, because there will be a comfort. It's just, everybody's got a different personality. Just put the right tool for the job in there.
So if you're going to summarize it, or just kind of pose the question, would you do it over again? Like, would you just, is that the way to do it? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And I
don't think that it's the best for everyone, but I would do it. I would, I like it. I like having a partner. I wouldn't want to do this solo and have everything on my shoulders all the time, because I think I would work into the night and wee hours every morning and just keep messing with it and never let it go. having to be flexible with someone else allows you that. You give yourself permission to stop every once in a while and trust someone else to do their job.
Yeah. One of the things I value about when we're working together is being able to just discuss things, to be able to think out loud as well, of just being able to say, hey, this is what's on my mind, as opposed to just letting that all just dwell in your head. It's kind of like you're able to offload it to another person and just say, hey, this is what I've been thinking about. These are the challenges. And sometimes brilliance comes out of those conversations where bouncing ideas back and forth. The next thing you know, like, okay, we have a solution or whatever. And they're not complicated sometimes. Sometimes you even know what you need to do, but putting voice to it and saying, okay, this is the most important thing we need to do today. We had this conversation yesterday about, okay, this is the agenda for today. These are the things that need to happen if nothing else happens. And a lot of really productive things came out of that. And it's almost to the point of like, let's create more of those moments. And just even a conversation with one of our team members of just, just how do we get something done? And I think there's some really cool things that come out of that. And I do love the fact that some people enjoy the buck stops here kind of a thing. And then there's an aspect of that. I think it comes down to it, that ownership piece. I think that would be the only challenge potentially in a partnership, is where it's, that you still have to have ownership. And when you would have that, Travis, where somebody said, hey, Travis was owning this particular job, I'm sure you'd say it stopped with you, like good or bad, you'd have some element of being able to like own that, right? I mean, a mistake or the success, or I don't know, how do you share the blame on something?
Yeah, I think that's the only right way to do it, is that both people take full responsibility. Frankly, the company should take full responsibility. So if we've got some great guys on the crew. I'm really proud of the team that we've developed, and a lot of those moments that we celebrate are pretty rewarding. But you also have those massive screw ups that someone's got to take ownership for. And the client's not going to call one of my guys at home. They're going to call me. I'm getting the text. I'm getting the voicemail. I'm the one that's going out on the weekend to talk to them because something wasn't done right. When something bad happens, the most important thing is to walk in and be responsible. Take responsibility immediately. And both owners should do that. The whole team should do that. So if an error happened on a job, like my guy Quentin, he's been promoted to our project manager lead. He's been working really hard, and he's doing a great job. If he has a mistake on his project and the client calls me and I come to the site and he's there, he's already taken ownership of it. I'm immediately going to take ownership and say, yeah, I wasn't here to take care of that, and that fell through the cracks. We're gonna make it right. And I assume Joe would do the same. He would stand there and be like, yeah, Catalyst is going to have to take care of this for you because we did not handle this in the way that it should have been handled, even though it was something that maybe AJ did on Quentin's project that Travis and Joe hired them to do. Like it's a universal desire to pull in the same direction, and the only thing that really matters is getting it right. So taking responsibility right away is the most important thing, and I think the way you handle that has to be very it needs to be swift. Like I have a tendency to go on too long, which is why these podcasts are always so tough, because like, how am I going to schedule a 30-minute conversation? Because I could talk for 2 hours. The best way to handle the, hey, you guys did this and we're not happy with it, is to say, you're right, I'm sorry. Here's what we're going to do to fix it. Because I can explain for 2 hours why, well, you wouldn't put your dog away. And I told you had to put the dog away, but the dog tore through the plastic and now there's dog hair all through the paint. And it's not my fault at all. It's actually your fault because your dog wasn't out of the site where we said we needed to have the dog out of the site. I'm not going to, sugarcoat it and be like, well, obviously you had no role in this. I'm going to say, yeah, we didn't do enough to protect the site. We didn't check that the dog was put away. We didn't use a heavier gauge plastic on our zip wall. It was able to be defeated by the dog's claw. Like all you can do to serve your client well is take as much responsibility as is honest. Even though the reality of that example would be like, well, honestly, we shouldn't have that much responsibility here because I'm not the dog and I'm not the dog's owner. And as the dog's owner, you're really responsible. It's still, I know what it takes to keep a paint job clean. I know what it takes to keep an animal from entering the system. And there's something more I could have done. And that's the ownership that I'll take, is I could have foreseen this. And while we had a system in place and you failed, I'm still going to take part. I'm going to take ownership for my failure. What more could we have done as a team to not have this happen? And now let's work immediately after establishing that there's an apology, after owning the amount of responsibility that's appropriate. We immediately look for, how do we solve? What is the step that moves us closer to the ideal? How do we get to our goal? That's where we should focus all of our energy, because once the apology is made, it's over, it's done. And whether they forgive you or not, usually they're still mad. Usually that's not a quick, like, oh, it's okay. It's usually a disaster that they want to be mad about for a while, but I don't think that's at all productive. Like, once the apology is given and accurate accounting of responsibility is doled out, that's it. Let's fix it. That's the whole reason we're here. We're trying to make it better. Let's start now.
That dog sounded too personal. Like that sounded like a real story.
I think I just have a hard time with dogs lately. Like, we have been building this addition, and the neighbors, like, it's not my client's dog. The neighbors send their dog over to do his business on our job site. Yeah, like, there's all these problems. I've spent more time managing dog waste in the last couple months than I should in my life. And it's just so surprising to me that that's not something that people are like, oh, you shouldn't have to do that. Let me get him off of your property. Let me get him out of your way. Like, yes, please do that. If it was my child, I would do that. I wouldn't throw a diaper on the neighbor's lawn. Like, what are we talking about here? This is crazy.
I had a
so I think
similar
the dogs are
situation like this, Travis, when when you're bringing that up, it's amazing how you think of these traumatic experiences as well. It wasn't with a pet, but I had just laid a shower, tiled a shower, okay, and just had finished it up, and it was probably like 7-8 p.m. and somebody's 7-8-year-old kid had just walked right over the tile in the bathroom. And it was just like, no. And they were kind of upset about it too. Like, well, we didn't know it was wet. And I was just like, I didn't even have time to put up tape yet. And it just, anyway, it was one of those dogs and then hair in the paint kind of a situation. And then stuff happens.
That's painful.
It's brutal.
Oh, and then you can't really just like, hey, it's your fault. I mean, like, it's just stuff happens, but at the same time, oh my goodness.
Yeah, that's hard. One of the questions that was kind of coming to my mind whenever you were talking about that story, Travis, is obviously you have a team that you're managing as well, and mistakes are always going to happen. So how is it, like, obviously, I think you spoke to the client side of like, hey, here's how we represent Catalyst to our customer. We take ownership. The first person on the job site is going to take ownership. Then you're going to take ownership. Joe would take ownership. I love that aspect from the client side. I think it's really important because I think what you're saying, it does diffuse the conversation a lot. But I'm curious about, obviously there's times where the mistakes were mistakes and they were on your team. And, how do you walk those out with your team? How do you prevent those things from happening again? What steps do you put in place to where it's like, is it a team meeting? Is it, what's the structure for some of that on the team side?
Well, obviously it's going to vary by situation, but I think the most important thing is to just start with honesty. Like, let's say a client has a television they want to mount above the mantle. They're doing a typical great room setup and the TV is supposed to go up there. And we get to the point that we're on finishes and we're hanging the TV for them. And they're like, great, so where's the cable or the HDMI? I go, you didn't ask us to run that, so we don't have that.
I love these stories, Travis.
Wireless, right?
Yes.
Like, well, I thought we were just going to use Wi-Fi because you didn't ask us to run an HDMI, and there's no equipment cabinet, and there was no talk of equipment, and so we assumed you were running Wi-Fi. We don't have that in place, and they become frustrated because they wanted to use a different system, but they didn't think to talk to me about it. I didn't think to ask them. There's me taking responsibility. I mean, everything runs on Wi-Fi nowadays. Sure, we can pull some Cat 6 for you. But that's the moment where you go, well, who all was involved in this? Well, I would like to rough in all of my electrical. I don't get to. Quentin and AJ probably roughed that in. And so they didn't ask and I didn't ask. And then Joe didn't ask when we were talking about billing. When we did the proposal, we didn't ask. So it really is, it's the whole team. And the most important thing is to just be honest and say, I assumed we were running Wi-Fi. I didn't think to ask you, Mr. or Mrs. Client. So let me tell you how we would do that now if we wanted to do it. And keep in mind, you also didn't ask me for it earlier. So we're in equal footing here, right? I didn't ask you, you didn't ask me. Here we are. Let's find the way to get there. And we can fish it down from the attic. We can fish it this way. I can probably do one trim removal on this side and we can route it. And that's how I would do that. That will probably take us 2.5 hours. We'll charge you time only. No profit in it for us. We'll serve you at our lowest possible price because we didn't do the best thing we could have on the front end. Is that fair? And that's usually the best way to navigate that. And then you do take your team aside and go, hey, we could have avoided all this. You know how much fun you're going to have fishing that wire? It's going to suck. We're going to have to rip the trim off that we just put on. Then we're going to have to touch it up.
Yep.
It's going to cost us not just your 2.5 hours to do the procedure, but another 2.5 hours of caulking and touch up and all this. And you wanted to go do that other job, and I wanted to go home, and I wanted to make money. And now we're not going to do any of those things. So everybody gets to be responsible. And how do we avoid this in the future? We communicate, we talk, we ask the client, oh, you want to put a TV up there? We're putting the outlet in. Shouldn't we go ahead and ask about a Cat 6? Yeah, we should. Or whatever the example might be. I am such a strong proponent of frequent touch points. Unfortunately, we have to ask the same question multiple times. And I think our subcontractors train us to do that. When we work with subcontractors, if I ask them, hey, did you call in your locates for my excavator? Did you call in your locates? We got a job starting tomorrow, massive addition. I was there yesterday. Joe and I were staking it out. There's no locates. My first text this morning. Hey, you got those locates scheduled? Because when you show up tomorrow to dig and the locates aren't there, you're going to lose a day and I'm going to lose a day. And now my client's not going to call you. They're going to call me. You know, like, I thought we were digging a day. I've cleared everything out. I've turned my life upside down to make this work. And yet there's no progress. You're like, well, yeah, the guy didn't call in his locates. Still on me, my job. I got to run the project. That's the way it goes. But that honesty right out of the gate of, hey, I didn't ask you, and here's what it would take to get it right. I didn't follow up with my team, whatever. That honesty from the very beginning on both sides, though, is very comfortable. When it's one-sided and they're just like, oh yeah, you should have asked us. Like, well, I guess that's true. And I guess if you wanted it, you should have told me. So I guess, we have that similar condition, and we'll just try to find a way to make this happen.
What you're saying is so key. Ownership of the action items, the checklist, the things that need to be done from the perspective of like, this is your project. You're the one that sold this to the client. You have a subcontractor in there. As much as you want to rely on him to be able to call the locates in or to be able to, follow the plan and so on and so forth, you're owning the result. This is and the schedule. And so I think that's a key that so many people miss, particularly when they don't have your experience, is they make assumptions. Well, I thought the subcontractor is going to ask those questions, or, you just can't make those assumptions. And I think that, and you're not. And I think you're setting an example of being like, okay, let's not assume that the conversation about what type of network cable or HDMI cable or whatever needed to happen at the TV happened. Have you seen, I think it was Matt Reisinger had done a video on like the walkthroughs prior to drywall, or I'm trying to remember, maybe that was on the show, on the Bill show, where they were showing, like, hey, before the drywall goes up, we go around the whole house with everybody. Here's this outlet. This is before we start closing walls up. And I know he's not unique in that, but I think that's another key aspect of like, before we do, we're just doing a remodel on our house, and I'm walking around and like, okay, before we cover these walls up, do we have everything? And inevitably you always forget something somewhere along the line of like, okay, well, actually it would be nice to get an extra outlet in there. And then I think you also at that point are able to charge full price, because at that point somebody's saying, hey, I actually want speakers in this room. I want a surround sound system. Well, you're going to pay full price for it at that point. Nobody screwed anything up. It's just, it's not in the contract. So we're going to charge for it, as opposed to being all done and having to feel like you made a mistake.
I think that's a common practice. Those walkthroughs, I think, again, that's that communication that I think is so important. And I'll drag my client through the nasty job site in the heat of summer, and we'll all sweat it out, because this is the time. And I'll definitely say that. We
hot yoga on the job.
Joe. That's right. Like, I know that this is unpleasant and it's something that has to be done. So we're going to get in and get it done. And if there's anything that you don't catch now, I'm prompting you every chance I get. But if there's anything you don't catch now, it's more expensive later. So this is it. And then that does give me the freedom on the backside to say, well, remember the electrical walkthrough? We went through this all, and you said that you were happy with this, and we roughed it in and you approved it. So now if you do want to add those bedside sconces, I'm happy to do it for you. This is what it will take. We're ripping out this part of the ceiling. We're going to fish the wires down from the attic, whatever it is. This is what it would cost, but this is not my error, because I tried my best to get you to tell me what you wanted, and now you're adding something, so it's full price.
You almost prevent the conversation of like even needing to assign blame. You're just being like, oh, you want a wall
No,
sconce? This is going to cost this. Because people remember, hey, we just talked about this a week ago and we never talked about sconces, as opposed to being like, well, we never did the walkthrough. That communication, you're nipping in the bud. Like you really are preventing any kind of sideways conversations later on where the expectations are set. I mean, communication is so key. I mean, so much of what you're bringing up is communication, even relationship with Joe. I mean, this is key, is communication with your clients and being able to keep them in the loop on things as well. Managing like vendor relationships as well. I'm just curious of like, obviously there's a lot of communication involved with doing that, but as you're doing these walkthroughs, a lot of products, specifications, specifics are really required in order to do a good install on something like a, TV, for instance. I mean, well, there's specifics involved, the toilets or something. I had a bathroom toilet. It was a bidet toilet in our bathroom. Gave the spec sheet to the plumber and he roughed this thing in all wrong, and ended up getting tiled. And then later, I'm basically having to move a pipe through challenging circumstances and reset a toilet. It was frustrating, Yeah. But anyway, I think it points out though, of like, just because you have a spec sheet stamped, stapled to the side of a 2x4 doesn't necessarily mean that it got done that way.
That's a problem in our industry that comes from too much pride. It's arrogance, frankly. And we've all done it. I'm sure I've done it. Open the package and start installing. And then the last thing when I start cleaning up, I'm like, oh yeah, there's the instructions. Let me just leaf through those real quick. Like the whole idea of these millions of dollars of R&D that have gone into the product development is so that we would go ahead and do it the right way the first time. And it's just our arrogance as people that, well, I do this all the time. We're overly comfortable. I know how to rough in a toilet, 12-inch rough, standard. I'm just gonna drop this in here, supply on the left side, we're done. Oh, there's an outlet. That's weird. Not my problem. I'm the plumber, not the electrician. On with my day. So then you end up going, well, why is an outlet? Oh, it's a bidet toilet. Oh, well, it needs hot water supply. Oh no, we got all this, like whatever it is. And I think you don't need a hot water supply. Sorry, that's misinformation. Congenius fans, you can use your regular cold water. That's what they.
Half the audience is like, whoa, I didn't know that.
No, I was making a bad example worse.
Yeah.
But that is something that we have to fight against in our industry, is the constant arrogance of, I know how to do this. You brought me in because I'm the expert and I'm not beholden to your spec sheet. I don't care how you want me to do it. I'm not going to listen to this person or that person because I'm the expert. Yeah, that may be true. You might be the most knowledgeable person on site who has all the experience in the world, but this is this person's project. And if the project manager on that site says, hey, I wanted you to look at these specs before you install, do it. And more importantly, if there's a plan on site, like we're really fortunate, one of our new homes that we're working on right now has very well detailed plans. Extremely thorough in elevations and product selections, so much so that early in the project I was making errors because I wasn't referring to the plans enough. It was like, oh, I didn't realize that you'd specified a chimney cap. Oh, you specified my wall termination for my dryer vent. Okay, I'll order that one and take off the one that we always use. That's better. And then of course we'd already installed it, so the architect came to the job and was like, why'd you put that there? It's like, I didn't read your note. Sorry, I just ordered it. And he goes, well, I like that one. You can just keep that one. So it ended up happy ending, right? Like he learned about a good new product and I didn't have to eat crow too much. But it also was low risk on the dryer. If I had done that on a number of other things, it would have been very expensive change. So we do need to take the time to listen to those who are involved in the project with a level of respect, that even though you might be the more senior person or the person with more experience, or hey, this guy's the master plumber, I'm just the electrician here, I'm just wiring up this outlet next to the toilet, which is weird. Listen to the person, even if they have nothing to offer in your mind, because you might be surprised. And it's a great exercise to listen to each other. In the world today, if there's anything we could do to help things to get better, it would be to listen to one another. So practice on the job site. Start today.
Love it. That's good. Yeah. Quentin's new. And so now he's as a project manager. So now,
Correct.
now
he's been with us a long time.
Yeah, but you've had him for a long time, brought him to that spot, but no doubt he's going to get some pushback on some jobs from people to look at him and like, hey, you're just the kid here. You don't know what you're doing. I've been doing this since you've been in diapers, kind of a thing. How did you introduce him to kind of like to your expectations and what you want? Because I mean, it's a key role. I mean, he's really in a huge way determining the outcome of our project. And you got a bunch of hardened tradesmen that he's going to be working with that are going to basically not respect his opinion and miss stuff because they don't want to listen to what he has to say about the spec sheet for the bidet or whatever the situation is.
Right. Yeah, there's not a lot you can do to help someone. It's kind of like raising kids. You just have to let them suffer sometimes. You
Okay.
can't do it for them. For Quentin's sake, he only has had a few subcontractors that he's having to deal with. We're trying to ease him into being that type of a manager where he's trying to hold other people accountable, because that is probably the hardest thing to accomplish successfully. We still struggle with it. We've been at this for a really long time. Setting expectations on the front end is the most important thing for that to work out on the back end. And having things, again, communication, having those things in writing, so you can just go, hey man, I'm just going to remind you in that email on the 3rd, we talked about this. And since you didn't do it, I just want to know when you're coming back to redo it, because we agreed to it and you knew it and we knew it, and now it has to be redone. So I'm just following up. What's your plan? I mean, mistakes happen. I'll accommodate time for you in the schedule, but this is how I have to hold you accountable, because we talked about it on the front end. If you skip that step, then you got problems, because then you come in and you go, oh, I see you put this all on running bond. This is supposed to be square layout. You're supposed to be on grid. I am not going to buy new tile, brother. Like, this is a big problem. What do you plan to do here? And they go, you told me running bond. Like, I didn't, because it's supposed to be on grid. Now we're just going to stand here and argue. Like, this is not productive. Now we're both going to eat it. You're going to end up giving us some tile labor, but I'm going to have to buy all the new material and shut down my job and lose schedule time. I'm taking a much bigger loss. So this is a huge problem. We can't do this. We have to be better on the front end. But for Quentin to have a youthful face, not the hard lines of what I'm carrying around, yeah, he's just going to have to suffer through people not listening to him and not showing him that respect, and not those lessons that you learn is how you get those wrinkles and how you get that respect and how and don't forget to set those expectations and get it in writing on the front end, because if you screw it up enough times, you get tired of screwing it up. And having someone not listen to you is one of the reasons that Joe and I went and got all of our licenses in all the trades, because then when you stand there with the electrician and he goes, yeah, I mean, I had to run it that way, and that's where it has to go. I go, no, it doesn't. I mean, the NEC Article 109 is clear about this. We're not going to run it that way. You can pull it back out and rerun it, and we can still pay you what we agreed. But if I have to hire someone else to do this, I'm going to have to take the money that I was going to pay you for what we agreed to and give it to them. So now you're not going to get paid for your work, and that's not good for either of us. Let's just get it done right. And then he's quoting the NFPA, I guess.
Yeah. Well, you're letting your expertise do the talking instead of the emotion aspect of it too. So even for Quentin, you're setting you're setting the groundwork of keep it in writing, have the conversation about the facts, not the emotions. It's not about, who's got more experience or anything. This is what the specifications, this is the NEC, this is what's the project specifications say, this is what's being installed.
This was what was agreed to,
Yeah.
whatever it is. Yeah.
And I think you're also, for the trades, they're gaining respect for Quentin based on his expertise, as opposed to how arrogantly he could carry himself.
Right.
My little brother's in a position like this, ridiculously talented craftsman. He's 13 years younger than me. And he's really, really a talented finisher, cabinet maker. He has so many skills, but he has the youthful face as well. So, and he shows up to a job kind of hip as well. Like, I mean, he's very, he's not like your
dial point.
Yeah, he's right.
Trendy.
So, yeah, right. So, I mean, you don't expect him to be as good as he is at all. And he's used to that. And so, whether that's painting or cabinetry or whatever else, and people just watch him work. And there was like, wow, he shouldn't be as good as he is, but he is. And I think that's one of the things where the challenge to the craftsman is, don't try to sell yourself on the image side of it. Let your craftsmanship do the talking for you, and then the reputation follows,
That's very true. I think the other thing that would be a valuable tip is that there's extreme power in silence. If you find yourself in that position where you have a trade partner who hasn't performed, hasn't done what you agreed, left things in an unacceptable way for you or your client, I think it's really powerful to just say, this isn't what we agreed to. My client's not going to accept this, and I can't accept it because I can't get paid for it. So what are you going to do? And that long pause is brutal. Because what most of us want to do, we're mostly here to fix things, right? So we mostly want to say, how can I help? Well, I'll help you clean it up, but I need you to do, well, no. Just ask them what they're going to do and stand there and look at them. And it's really uncomfortable and nobody likes it, but it's pretty powerful. And you end up getting results from people who ordinarily would not generally be a helpful partner because they're angry, because they're emotional, as you said. There's something really powerful in that moment of, I have laid out what's known and agreed to be true for both of us. And now all I'm doing is waiting on you to tell me what the plan is, because it's your responsibility to fix it. I just need to know, how are you going to fix this? Because that's all we care about. I'm not telling you, I'm really angry with you and you really embarrassed me and I'm getting screwed here and this is BS, and all that goes away. And you bring that emotion way down and you say, I understand what happened here. We all make mistakes. I see that you have made a mistake and now I need to know how you're going to fix it.
It's beautiful.
I love it.
Yeah, it's really good.
Well, I feel like we could
Not
talk
easy.
for like no, it's not easy. I was also thinking when you were talking about the stare down, I'm like, also don't look at your phone in that moment. Just look at the, like you gotta let it just sit.
Yeah.
You know,
Look at your
awkwardly.
watch like you're going to be somewhere. Yeah. That
Don't look to be
deliver.
saved from your phone,
Don't give them an out. Just be uncomfortable.
That's so true.
Yeah. I love leave the emotions out of it too.
Yeah.
I had a conversation with somebody the other day. And I remember this time when somebody had threatened to sue me on a sort of non-project almost. It was just something where, it just never went anywhere. It was just right from the get-go, it was a client where they had an expectation for something that was completely ridiculous. What they wanted and what we could deliver were completely different things. And we ended up parting ways at the beginning, but they ended up just being a really, really nasty kind of situation from that, to the point of just, almost illegal activity. And so, but I remember the emotions were so strong from the other side. Everything was so, you're the devil, basically, kind of a thing. And to not go there and not address the emotions, but just address the facts in a calm way, not be a pain in the rear, kind of like constantly, trying to prove the other person wrong.
Right.
Wasn't even the point. It was just being like, well, we had this conversation. This is kind of, you just walk through the history of it and you stay there, of just being like, and I even try to meet him halfway. Hey, I'll take half of this. You take half of it. You know what I mean? It's just like, and that kind of thing. And there was compromise involved, but at the same time, as soon as you go to the level of the shouting match or the road rage, kind of like you lose all credibility, and then you open yourself up to all kinds of I don't know. I mean, we've all been in that situation of saying something we wish we'd never said, and suddenly we're instead of confronting something that's wrong, we're wrong as well.
True.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. There's no productivity in that either. Like, you're not moving any closer to the goal. You're not progressing the job. Everything is getting worse instead of trying to find that path to better in those moments. It doesn't have I guess there's a good feeling maybe in getting to yell at someone when they're treating you unjustly and you feel like, hey, at least I'm defending myself. And I'm no saint. We've had those. I had a client that we did an extremely nice job 4 years ago. We did multiple projects for them, and on one of the last things we did for them, their kitchen, they asked us to try and help with these windows that were leaking in their 3 seasons room. And we're like, I mean, this was done so badly, I don't see a path to repair. Like, this is, the bulldozer would maybe a house fire would be a blessing here. Like, this is a really bad, everything that was done out here is failing, and it's going to keep failing because you don't have any water management strategy. The roof is wrong. Like, everything was done badly out here. It's not designed to be an interior space, and you're trying to treat it like a living room. So you're going to have those comfort issues. You're going to continue to have water. It's bad. And they're like, well, what could you do? I'm like, well, I mean, we could caulk the hell out of everything, but that's not right. Like, that's not the right way to maintain this long term. But yeah, we can rip the siding off. We can put up a WRB. We can try to seal it to the edge of these windows, but these are replacement windows. They were never designed for this application. Like, everything about this is wrong, but yes, we're here. We'll try to help you. So fast forward 6-7 years later. And in that time we came out and bid ripping it off and redoing it several times the right way, and bid other projects for them. And they had us back and they're like, hey, we're really upset. We hired someone else to come in and do a floor treatment in here, and these windows are all leaking, and we would like you to pay for the redoing here because you worked on it. Wow. Like, the stone's on you, brother. Do you not recall how we got to this point? Do you not recall that I did redoing all this work, and now you're bringing me out to scold me in front of this other contractor who thinks that I'm at fault because my caulking job didn't hold up for 7 years on the windows that shouldn't be in this application with no overhangs and none of the water management. You didn't accept my proposal to fix it right any of the 3 times that you had me out to propose it, but you want me to take ownership for this? I'm no saint. I got emotional too. I didn't carry myself in the way that I should have, and I was personally offended by it. And I felt like someone was trying to take advantage of me. And
Yeah.
it's hard
Yeah,
to
those
not be
are the worst.
emotional when you feel like someone's got their hand in your pocket and you're being robbed.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you know, attacking my credibility is something I guess I'm pretty sensitive about. Like, our business is built on our integrity, and we had, for the longest time, I used to say, well, we've never had any unsatisfied client. But then we ran into a client who couldn't be satisfied. And so now I can't say that anymore. And now I have this other client who thinks that I screwed him, even though they didn't accept my offer to do it the right way, and settled on what can you do for $500? Like, well, I can get a couple cases of caulk and pretend like we're making it better, but it's not the solution. Well, that's, I guess, that's a twofold piece of advice there. Try not to get emotional is the good piece of advice. And then the other advice is stick to your guns, because if I would have never said, you know what, we won't do it.
Walk
I
away.
will not do this the wrong way. I'm going to let your house leak until you're willing to do it the right way. I won't help you with that. You can hire someone else to do a bad job, but it won't be me. That's something we very rarely have gotten sucked into. I generally won't work on things unless they're going to let us do it the way that we do it. That's the whole reason we're involved. Otherwise, why'd you bring us to the job? Hire someone else if you want it done poorly. That's not what we do. We're interested in these details, and we're going to stand behind it. And I can't stand behind it unless you let me do it my way, or at least a way that I can trust. And this is the way that I want to do it. I mean, not to get all Nancy Reagan, but just say no. I mean, those projects you got to run from.
Yeah,
that's good.
I think
You
that's
guys are
really
too
good
young to
advice.
get the Nancy Reagan reference. Goodness gracious, I'm old. Sorry about
He
that.
probably gets it. I don't get it.
How old are
There
you,
was a
Travis?
anti-drug program in schools that during the Reagan administration, and it was the Just Say No to Drugs program,
Okay.
and that's where the reference comes from.
I'm educated.
That's a little tour down memory lane. You're welcome.
Yeah. You're not 50 yet, are you?
No,
Okay.
no, I will.
He's
Yeah.
still far
Yeah.
from 50.
Yeah. Okay. You're 45, 46?
48. I'm almost 50.
40.
I'm trying
Oh,
to back away
okay.
from
Oh
it.
boy.
You're
Okay. We're
working
pushing
against
it.
me,
Okay.
brother.
Yeah.
Come
All right.
on
So,
now.
okay. Yeah. Right. I mean, you got a 45-year-old face though.
Yeah.
Oh, that's better.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. A total aside. My kids, I think we mentioned early in the podcast that I'm not cool anymore. My kids have figured out how much fun it is to pick at me now, which I have to give them credit, because every once in a while they get me pretty good. My daughter got me with, I'm no longer playing with a full deck of hair, and she was giving me a hard time about my hair loss. And then my son piled on. We were eating at a sandwich shop, and they serve the sandwiches just wrapped in foil. And we were talking about all sorts of different things, and he kind of baited me into these conspiracy theory conversations, like, well, what do you think really happened? And I told him, and he goes, after you finish that sandwich, you should fashion that foil into a hat, old man. It's like, oh, yes. I raised him right. Like, that's exactly the kind of zinger that I would expect from a smart young man, and he's got it.
Yeah.
I got one for you on conspiracy theories.
Oh no.
Conspiracy theories on sale. Buy one and you buy them all.
Why
is that? When somebody gets one conspiracy theory, next thing they know, they're flat earthers. That we never went to the moon. It's like, what? I mean, hold your sanity. Like, you can buy into one, but don't get all of them.
Right? Yeah. There's a line. Some things are explainable with science, and others not so much.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Sorry for that aside, but I couldn't resist.
Yeah.
It was too good.
Yeah.
Oh, good. No, this is fun. I think we could talk for 3 hours probably. We have a full list of questions still, but I know you got to build stuff and we got to build stuff.
Someone's got to make the money.
That's right.
But it's been a super fun conversation, and we appreciate all your insights and just expertise and really just what you're doing for the industry. So
yeah,
just thank you for that.
Check Travis out, guys. It's great to have you back. We're really grateful to have Travis with us, and look forward to the next time.
Yeah, check out his
Can you guys come see us? Can we get you into Philadelphia or Cincinnati? Our Building Science Symposium series. We didn't have you in Kansas City last week. We missed you. But it's sold out, so I wasn't going to give you a hard time about it. But we would like to get you guys at some of the future events. Sure, we'll see you at Build Show Live. But yeah, buildingsciencesymposium.com. That's where you can get tickets for Philadelphia or Cincinnati this year. But we'll connect in person somewhere, maybe at Build Show Live.
Well, I'm having a baby soon, so
that's right.
I'm not gonna be able to go to Build Show Live this year, but we'll hit it back next year soon. as soon as we
Yeah.
can.
Yeah.
So
Come back and bring the baby. Babies love
there you
building
go.
supplies.
They do. They love. I'm just raising them up. You know. I'm
Yeah,
like, you
that's
are.
right.
You will be a contractor. I have a
That's right.
6-year-old and a 3-year-old. I'm like, how soon is too soon to buy an excavator? You know, or like, you know, to get him,
There
to
you
get
go.
him doing
Yeah.
something. Anyways,
Hey,
that's
yeah.
a side tangent.
Yeah.
But so fun. Check out Travis on Instagram mainly, right? Like that's kind of your go-to
Instagram,
platform.
Build Show Network. I
Yeah.
post a lot there as well. But yeah,
Absolutely.
we really appreciate the opportunity. It's always great to see you guys. Thank you.
We'll see you soon.
See you, Travis.
All right. See ya.